Here's what's weird. Normally I'm tea all the time. But this book is reminding me why it's not easy to live here in Massachusetts. 53 years of living here amongst the garbage and bullshittery. That's a technical term. And it's just too much. So I went for one of my treats. I love these. Listen, there are diehard coffee people. I get it. I enjoy these. This is Maxwell House Vanilla Caramel Latte. Okay? This is a treat. See this? When I say this is a treat, this is a treat. This soothes the soul. I love it. It's like dessert in a cup, okay? After you've had gastric bypass surgery and you can no longer eat the things, and when I mean the things, I mean all the things that makes someone 355 pounds, you name it. Actually, I believe it's all the things that Proctor is now eating. The Twinkies, the Ding Dongs, the Ring Dings, the Funny Bones, whatever, all those Drakes, all the yummy treats in the hostess aisle. I used to stash them under my bed, okay? I ate them all ad nauseum. I cannot eat them anymore. That's fine, I don't care. These are my treats. So delicious. Oh, that's hot. I forgot how hot that was. These are delightful. I don't drink them that often. This is not a sugar-free one. This is, 17 grams of sugar. I'm really only supposed to have anything with 10 grams of sugar or less. That's a lot of sugar. I don't have what it's supposed to call for. It calls for 2 tablespoons, 2 heaping tablespoons. I only do 2 teaspoons per mug, so I'm having less sugar than it calls for. So, and I only have the 1 cup. It's a treat. It's not. I don't have like 3 or 4, 5 cups of this. It is a treat. So hopefully I'm not going to do sugar math right now, but it's less. And it's just the 1. But still, that is my treat. We are back. Excuse me, sniffles, where's my tissues? We are back. We are back. When I have something that warm and is yummy, I get the sniffles. Does that happen to you guys when you eat like soup, something warm and delicious? You start to have the sniffles. I don't have a cold or anything. Like whenever I'm eating something really hot and delicious, I get the sniffles. Maybe I'm just allergic to bullshit. Political bullshit. It could be that because it's all around me. I live in Corruptachusetts. That could be it. It could be it. Here we go. Chapter 13. Let's get right back at it. I need one more sip of this heaven in a cup. It's hot, Amy. Remember. Oh. So good. I have four of those. 2 are sugar-free and caffeine-free, and 2 are full throttle. I needed a full throttle right now. Here we go. Chapter 13, Paul Downing Jr. Okay? 16-year-old Paul, I gotta make sure I'm comfy. Hold on. Here we go. Gotta sit like a girl sits. Like I sit. I need my pillow. Here we go. Oh, so much better. Here we go. Paul Downing Jr. 16-year-old Paul Downing had a different set of friends than did his twin brother. Paul was also 1 grade ahead of Ryan, who had been kept. Oh, that sucks if you're a twin and you were kept back. Let me fix this. That's better. I don't know that I would like that if I had a twin and one was kept back after, from the other. Ooh, that would be rough. Okay. 16-year-old Paul Downing had a different set of twins than his twin brother. Paul was also 1 grade ahead of Ryan, who had been kept back in the 3rd grade. Paul's best friend was Eddie O'Brien. Eddie O'Brien's older sister, Jeannie, not Janine, Jeannie O'Brien. Paul is and was then openly gay. Oh, I love that. One of my best friends in the entire world. He knows who he is. Hi, Ben. Benjamin. He knows who he is. I love Benjamin. The best guy in the entire world. Gay is a $3 bill, but I love him so much. He always visits me when he comes home. He lives in Chicago, but every time he comes back home, he comes to see me. Love you, Ben. Ben. Moving on. Paul is and was then openly gay. It appears that Paul's family, friends, and neighbors were all accepting of Paul's sexuality. You know what? That is progressive for back in the 90s. Huge. See, that just made me happy. That's good. Gina Mahoney told me she felt it was Paul himself who wasn't as comfortable. Well, of course he wasn't. That was not their time back then. That was, I know, I'm bisexual. It was not that you, my own parents, you are not. Okay, well, if you feel better telling yourself that, that's fine, but whatever. I know what I am, so you tell yourself what you need to tell yourself. Oh. I keep forgetting how hot that is. Okay. On the night his mother was murdered, Paul was with his friends Jeannie O'Brien, Michelle Cameron, and Raquel Vega. Paul was the last person known to have seen his mother alive. Ryan and his friends left the house at about 7:50. Paul came home sometime around 8. Neither the DA nor the defense counsel ever asked Paul if the front door was locked or unlocked. Why would you not ask that? What? This is my first time reading this book, so you're going to get candid responses from me. Obviously, if you've been following along, you know you're just going to get what you get and you're not going to get upset, okay? Who doesn't ask that? If it was unlocked, then it's possible that anyone could have entered the house in the 10 minutes between when Ryan and the boys left and when Paul returned home. Something you think they would ask? No, we're not going to ask. Why would we? Why? That's actual information. Why would we ask that? We're not going to ask that. No. Paul said he was inside the house 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Paul claimed that he then spent the next 15 minutes at the O'Brien house. However, this was contradicted by the 5 adult witnesses who saw Paul go directly from his house to the backseat of Michelle Cameron's waiting car. In fact, Jeannie O'Brien remembers that Paul was taking so long. All these pictures. Paul was taking so long that she actually went to his house, knocked on the front window, and yelled for him to hurry up. According to his own testimony later in the trial, he left his house sometime between 8:20 and 8:30, at which time he, Jeannie, Michelle, and Raquel all went back to Revere Beach. Something happened on the stairs in the Downing house at 8:15. Paul would have been present when this occurred. He testified that his mother was asleep when he was there and that he never went nearer the stairs than to pass by them on his way into and out of the house. A good part of the struggle took place on the stairway, specifically on the last 5 steps. A piece of metal, which the DA alleged was part of the murder weapon, was found on the 3rd step. Oh my God. There was blood on the wall and baseboard going down the last 4 steps, as well as on the carpet covering the stairs. Oh my good Lord. I always share the pictures. Disclaimer. This is not a beautiful picture. This is just so sad. Even though the police knew Paul was in the house at 8:15 and that a sound like someone falling down the stairs was heard at 8:15, the police never investigated that further. Why would they? It's only their job. People walking past the window. I was ready for that this time. And they're not wearing orange, so I'm good. They had white on. They're wearing white. Thank you, universe. No more orange. Paul, Jeannie, Michelle, and Raquel eventually left Revere Beach to come home at the end of the night. They reached Somerville around 11:15. Janet Downing's body had already been removed from the scene. There was still a large police and fire rescue presence in the neighborhood when they returned. Michelle and Jeannie reported that they first saw the flashing police lights about a block away from the Downing and O'Brien houses. Paul yelled out, "Oh my God, it's my mother. Something's happened to my mother." The girls weren't even sure yet that the problem was at the Downing house. When they got to the front of the house, Paul jumped out of the car. His father told him what had happened. Mahoney saw him sobbing and grabbed him. She sat with him on the curb as he continued to cry. He told Mahoney he couldn't breathe. Paul's stepmother took him to her car and, along with Joseph Cameron, Michelle's brother, drove him to the hospital. According to Joseph Cameron, while they were driving, Paul said, "Ma, I'm sorry for fighting with you." Then he said, "I don't think I locked the front door." This is news. This is news. When he was released from the hospital, Paul went to his father and stepmother's home in Wakefield, another suburb of Boston. Wow. If the police ever inquired about Paul leaving the crime scene before being interviewed, it doesn't appear in any investigative report. In fact, Paul Downing Jr. was the last witness interviewed by the police in the days following the murder. 5 witnesses, including Ryan Downing and Paul Downing Sr., were interviewed at the scene that night. 16 witnesses, including Ryan Downing and Paul Downing Sr., were interviewed between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. the following day, Monday. This is crazy. At the Somerville Police Station, 7 more witnesses were interviewed on Tuesday, the second day after the murder. 5 final witnesses, including Ryan Downing, Paul Downing, and Paul Downing Sr., were interviewed the third day after the murder. On Wednesday, Ryan was interviewed a total of 3 different times. Paul Jr. was interviewed only once, according to the police reports produced by the prosecution. It's highly irregular that the last person to see the murder victim alive and the only person in the house at the exact time that the neighbors heard a disturbance on the stairs would be the last person interviewed in a thorough and professional, I'm going to ad-lib here, in a so-called thorough and professional homicide investigation. People that live here in Massachusetts, we've seen what so-called thorough and professional homicide investigations look like. They are neither thorough nor professional. Pausing for a drink. This is why I stick to tea and occasionally fancy coffee. Because if I were to ever go back to drinking alcohol, I would be a complete shit show. I can't do it. I won't do it. I will not do it. Here we go. I can't. Paul's interview with investigators started at 1 o'clock and ended 10 minutes later. 10 minutes? 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I have things to say. I'm not going to say them. Trooper Richard Mahoney, Lieutenant Frank Kelly, and Paul's father were present. The report in its entirety reads as follows. Here we go. Paul stated that he left the house after Ryan left, and he specifically remembers closing the outside door. This door locks automatically upon being closed. Mr. Paul Downing confirms the following. We ready? Here we go. Paul made a 1-sentence statement. There were no follow-up questions. The interview ended at 1:10. What happened during the other 9.5 minutes of the interview? Did they sit in silence? Or did they just not write the conversation down so as to keep those parts of the interview from the defense team? By the time Paul was interviewed, Eddie was already in custody. He'd been arrested the night before. By Wednesday, the police knew from Carol Ortiz, Janet Downing's sister, that the front door was usually closed, but was never locked. The police never investigated to see if the door automatically locked, as Paul stated. If Paul was involved in an altercation with his mother, or in hurting his mother, or if he was protecting someone who was involved, this sensational murder would be reduced to yet another domestic tragedy. Riley was already fully committed to his story of the altar boy next door, grandson of a Somerville police chief, murder of his best friend's mom. He had just announced that he personally would be prosecuting the case. Oh, you can't backpedal now. You've been on TV, asshole. I can't with these people. There were TV cameras and newspaper reporters everywhere. There was no going back now. Well, they could have been if you had a set of balls. Politicians and police people in Massachusetts. Hello, Christy. How are you? Top of the morning to ya. Now, listen. I'm reading The Politics of Murder. This is chapter 13. I'm in the midst of chapter 13. If you haven't heard any of the other previous chapters, don't start listening here. Exit out, go back. It's in my playlist, The Politics of Murder. I've read all the other previous chapters. So if you want to hear this book in its entirety, go back and listen to the other ones. Start at the beginning and listen through all of them. This book is insane. It is so good. It's so good. There's no way, in my opinion, there's no way that Eddie O'Brien killed Janet Downing. Rest in peace, Janet Downing. There's no way. He didn't do it. No way. We need to find out who did. It doesn't matter that it happened back in the 90s. Justice is justice, and you got to find out who did it. That's craziness. I'm going to continue reading. I also posted a morning message that's already up there. So if you need to hear the morning message, you can find that up there too. You're on replay. All right. Love you. Mwah. Have a lovely day. The morning message this morning was the junco, the lovely bird, the junco I pulled from the bird deck. You go enjoy the replay. Just put on some earbuds and enjoy. I've read all the chapters up until now, and I'm going to keep reading till this entire book is done, because this book is some shiznit, girl. It's craziness. It's bonkers. But you know, if you followed the Karen Reed case, you know the crap that goes on in Massachusetts. It's so crazy that I'm drinking coffee. Okay? You are very welcome. Listen, it is my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'm drinking coffee today. That's how kookaroo this is. Okay? Love you. Enjoy your day. Earbuds. Enjoy the book. Okay? Love you. I'm going to get back to this now. Where was I? Oh yeah, there were TV cameras and newspaper reporters everywhere. There was no going back. Since it was clearly established by the first officers on the scene that there had been no forced entry to the house, how the perpetrator or perpetrators gained entry was a critical question. If the front door was unlocked, anyone could have walked into the house. But if it was locked, then the person who committed this crime either had a key or was let into the house. Paul left the house 2 different times. Once shortly after 6:30, when he and Janine initially went to Revere Beach, and again at 8:30 when he and Janine, Michelle, and Raquel again left to return to Revere Beach. At trial, Paul testified that he was in his room when his mother returned from grocery shopping at 6:30 and asked him to bring in the groceries. He did not want to help her, so she had to ask twice. When he finally went downstairs to tend to the groceries, he saw his brother Ryan and Joey Dion outside rollerblading. He told them to get the groceries from the trunk and bring them in the house. Paul leaned against his mother's car and waited for Janine O'Brien to call him about the trip to Revere Beach. Ryan testified that after bringing in the groceries, he and Joey went up to the top of the hill to meet Chris Ford. after which all three came back to the Downing house. That's when Eddie came from across the street and joined them in the kitchen. At that point, Paul was already gone, Ryan believed, because he did not see him again. My God. Why is it so important for Paul to insist in his only statement to the police that he'd locked the front door? Yes, why? Why indeed? Why indeed? See, now Paul is now sus. Paul and Artie are both on my shit list. They're both sus. It would certainly have been much simpler if Paul said he'd left the front door open and unlocked, as usual. Riley wouldn't have needed to provide a way for Eddie to have gotten in the house to kill his best friend's mother. Everyone knew that Eddie didn't have a key to the Downing home. Riley knew that the doorknob on the back door from the kitchen to the deck was broken. He also knew that Eddie had just learned this the day of the murder. In their haste to create a scenario that fit with Paul's statement that the door was locked, the prosecution, in their first clear example of creating a story to fit the crime, decided that Eddie gained access to the house through the broken kitchen door. In this rush to explain how Eddie could have gotten into the house, they didn't realize how flawed their theory was. Earlier that evening, when Ryan, Joey, Chris, and Eddie were hanging out in the Downings' kitchen, Eddie went out the back door onto the deck. He tried to get back in, found he couldn't, knocked, and was let in by Ryan. Ryan explained that the doorknob had been broken for a long time. It would turn 360 degrees but wouldn't open the door. Ryan claimed that he then told Eddie that the family used the deadbolt at night to secure the door while they slept. At the transfer hearings, Riley had each of the boys tell this story, suggesting that Eddie had a specific interest in understanding how the deadbolt on the inside of the door worked. I remember hearing the story over and over again as each witness testified. The sheer repetition of it distracted the listener from the faulty logic of the theory. Even if the deadbolt were off, the door would not open from the outside, as Eddie had learned by locking himself out. If the deadbolt were on, Eddie would still have needed a key. So locked or not locked, this door would not have been used as a means of access into the house because the doorknob did not work. Ryan, questioned at trial by D.A. Riley, described the conversation he had with Eddie about the kitchen back door. Answer. He was at my back door. He was on the outside of my back door. I went over, opened the door, and he was questioning me about the doorknob on my back door, and I knew it was broke, but I was explaining to him that it was broken, but we locked it with the deadbolt at night to sleep. It's not a night bolt all the time, so nobody can come in the house. And that was it. That was the conversation. Question: did you show him where the deadbolt was? Answer: excuse me? Question: did you explain the deadbolt to him? Answer: yes, I didn't. I shut it, and I said, see, we shut it and we lock it at night, and I turned it and I turned it back in, and he touched it. He goes like this, and I said, yeah, that, and so I showed him. Ridiculous. Clearly, Ryan is confused about how to answer these questions. The doorknob is not operational. Eddie could not get back in after closing the door, even though the deadbolt was off at the time. Ryan also does not understand what the DA wants him to say about the deadbolt and how it works. Idiots. Idiots. I am interjecting idiots several times. That's mine. I will die on that hill. Idiots. Idiots. This jumble of misstatements about the back door was too confusing for the jury to understand anything except that Eddie knew something about how to operate the deadbolt on the back door. But that's all, excuse me, the prosecution needed the jury to know. Eddie's lawyer did not ask any questions about the door on cross-examination. He didn't seem to understand that the DA's theory was fundamentally flawed. I don't know where this jury came from. Eddie's lawyer didn't ask any questions about the door on cross-examination. He did not seem to understand that the DA's theory was fundamentally flawed. Access to the house should have been a major question of fact for the jury to decide. So how and when did the killer get in? Eddie found the front door open and ajar at approximately 9:15 when he found Janet Downing mortally wounded on the dining room floor. Paul said he'd locked the door. If it was locked, the person who opened it had to have a key. But why would they leave the door ajar instead of closing it? If they were about to murder Downing, was it because Downing opened the door to her killer? Did Downing open the door for the perpetrator or perpetrators and then get pushed inside as the murderous rampage began? Or were the perpetrators already in the house when Paul came home at 8 o'clock? Did Paul know who they were? Was he protecting someone? Interesting. Each of these scenarios is plausible. Yes, it is. The fact that the cellar door was open pointed to Artie Ortiz, who, according to Gina Mahoney, kept drugs he sold to the neighborhood in a small refrigerator in the basement. Was Ortiz in the basement when Paul came home at 8 o'clock? Did he wait for Paul to leave, then go upstairs and assault his sister-in-law when she became frightened? Ortiz had keys to the house. Yes, he did. Ortiz apparently had been going in and out of the house without Downing's knowledge for 4 months since Downing had thrown him and his family out. Him had his feelings hurt. Had his feelings hurt. Big strong man had his feelings hurt. If Ortiz was involved, yes, he entered the house when Downing's car was clearly visible outside. If the house lights were off, as Paul testified they were, who knows if that's true, when he left at 8:30, then Ortiz could have assumed the house was empty and Downing was visiting a neighbor. This whole thing is crazy. Since Paul would have been in the house at the time the disturbance on the stairs was heard, and because he was the last person alleged to have seen his mother alive, the fact that he was not interviewed further has always been a gaping hole in this investigation. The Downing family and several neighbors knew that Paul and his mother had been having difficulties. This is news. Paul had begun to act out sexually in the prior year, causing his mother concern for his safety. He had had a few relationships with older men. Downing had confronted one and told him to stay away from her son. Downing talked with both Big Ed O'Brien and her friend Gina Mahoney about these episodes and her worries about Paul's safety. The police interviewed Father Henry Jennings, the pastor of St. Joseph's Church. Oh, I get that you're a mom and you're worried about your kid, but to think of your son's safety for his sexuality and you go to the church, girl, that is the wrong place to be going for safety. That's mine. That's not in the book. That is me speaking. Recovering Roman Catholic, merely spiritual, mostly Buddha. Okay? Buddhism. No more Catholic. The police interviewed Father Henry Jennings, the pastor of St. Joseph's Church, who told the trooper Martin Connolly and Sergeant Robert Fahey that there were problems in the Downing family. He advised them to talk with the neighbors about what was going on in the family and specifically referred them to Anne Bradbury, a longtime resident who'd lived next to the Downings for years. When the police recalled Bradbury, no face-to-face interview was ever conducted. She told them that, quote, Janet had trouble with her husband, Paul, and her son, Paul, and her daughter, Carrie Ann. That's all I can tell you. The police didn't ask more, and she didn't offer more, at least according to the written police reports. Once again, no further investigation was done. Well, why would you bother? It's only your job. I would love to get paid for not doing my job. Did you actually finish that report? No. Okay, we'll still pay you. Great. Good times. I'll be here reading a book and drinking my coffee. No further investigation was done into what kind of trouble Anne Bradbury was referring to. Attorney Bob George's failure to fully investigate Paul and his relationship with his mother deprived Eddie's defense of offering an alternative theory of the murder and raising the possibility that Paul may have been involved. Motive and opportunity are the two questions that direct all homicide investigations. Eddie had neither. Paul Downing had both. And Artie Ortiz had both. So Paul has both, Artie has both, Eddie had neither, but Eddie's the one in jail. I wonder if the family that investigated all this back then were friends with the Proctor family. Proctor has parents and grandparents. I wonder. We're all Massachusetts. Maybe they're all buddies. I'm going to do a little research. Perhaps. Meatball Morrissey. Maybe. JFK says it all the time. His favorite word, tentacles. Perhaps. They're all connected. My mother says it all the time. It's all connected. She doesn't remember that now with the Alzheimer's, but she did say it all the time. Maybe it's all connected. And I believe it is. Very annoyed right now. Chapter 14. The search. On Tuesday, about 40 hours after the murder, the CPAC unit prepared for paperwork for a warrant to search the home of Edward and Patricia O'Brien, believing that evidence of the murder would be found. No. The bias for their belief was a bloody fingerprint determined to be that of Edward S. O'Brien was lifted from a post in the cellar of the Downing home. On the night of the murder, Edward O'Brien had lacerations to his hand and scratches on his arm and leg. When interviewed, he denied having any involvement in the Downing murder. Marco Abreu, a friend of O'Brien's, reported he was at the Downing residence at 9:20 that night and observed the cellar door to be open, and in addition observed a person he believed at the time to be Edward O'Brien jump from the bushes behind the Downing home. Authorization to search the house was granted at 5:45 that afternoon. At about the same time the judge was signing the search warrant, Eddie O'Brien's house was under surveillance by Trooper Martin Conley and Sergeant Robert Fahey. When Eddie and his father returned from buying Eddie new sneakers, Conley pulled them over and told them to go directly to the Somerville police station. When they arrived, Eddie was arrested. It had not been 48 hours since. Can you imagine? He's 15. He's out with his dad buying sneakers at the mall. Probably at the Square One Mall. Well, no, if he's in Somerville, maybe not the Square One. But still, like you're out with your dad getting sneakers. You come home, hey, go to the police station. We're about to put you in one of the cells. Oh, those new sneakers? Yeah, you don't need those. Give those to your dad. Janet Downing was found stabbed to death in her home. The search of the O'Brien house commenced. Neither Eddie nor his parents were present to read the warrant, call counsel, or oversee the search. While this is legally permissible, the fact that the search commenced once the family had been secured at the station raises suspicion that they wanted no one observing them while they searched. Oh, planting evidence? I'm sorry. Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah, corruption is still floating around all over. I see the corruption. Sorry, it's a Massachusetts thing. Like when you see, it's overcast. That's not overcast. There, we have to see back for more. Proctor, did you finish all the other ones? Did you finish all? Are you up to date? You cannot be up to date, dude. There's no way you're up to date. I'm on chapter 14. It's Proctor. Yeah, just like the overcast, it's always Proctor. He wasn't involved in this per se, but maybe his you're up to date? You cannot be up to date. There's no way you're up to date. You listened to all of it? Up to this exact point. You're not a speed reader. You're full of shit. I'm not buying that for $1 or a fish head, dude. I don't buy that. No way. No way. No. You cannot skim this book. You cannot skim this book. Listen, I get it. You missed me. I missed you too. But go back and listen to the damn book. I didn't read this so you could skim. Pay the fuck attention. There you go. I'm yelling at you. If I had a fish, I'd smack you in the head with it. All right? Pay attention to the book. I'm reading it so people can actually listen to the book. You don't skim through the book. I am 100% correct. I know you missed me. That's fine. You can come back and say hi, but don't lie to me and tell me that you don't. I can smell a lie like a fart in a car, dude. Don't. Just don't. Thank you. You can always come back and say hi anytime you want. Dude, email me. MOM4Ruby, RUBY, @yahoo.com. Email me anytime. Say hello. We can chat. Okay? There you go. You miss me, send me an email. We'll talk anytime you want. But don't disrespect the book. A woman died. This is serious. Listen to the book. And this woman put a lot of hard work into this book. This guy's, the Innocence Project took on this guy's plight. I know you know the story, but have you read this book? Dave, have you read this book? It is still sad. It's still sad. There are a lot of good tidbits and nuggets in this book that I am reading and sharing with everyone. I don't have to do this. I choose to do this. And you skimmed? You skimmed? Wow. All right, hold on a second. Hold on. All right. That hurt. Yeah, I read. I actually read. I don't skim things. I read. Yeah. I just reprimanded you live. And people can see your name. There it is. You did that to yourself. I miss you. I love you. Go back and listen to the book. I just gave you my email. MOM4 and Ruby, RUBY, @yahoo.com. Email me anytime you want, okay? That is my actual personal email. Say hi anytime you want. In the subject, just say, hey, it's Dave. Hey, it's Beav. It's the Beav. It's Beaver. Just tell me it's you. I'll know it's you. We can chat anytime you want, okay? There you go. Listen to the damn book. Maybe I'll forgive you someday for skimming. Maybe. No, I will. I'm kind like that. I forgive you. But you're only hurting yourself if you don't listen to the book. You're missing out. This book is phenomenal. It doesn't hurt me that you're not listening to it. You hurt yourself. You're hurting yourself, Dave. You're hurting yourself. And you, again, have made me lose my place. My fucking place, Dave. You gotta cut that shit out. Okay. Yes, I'm not thrilled. Go back, listen to the book, and stop making me lose my place. Thank you so much. Back to the book now. Dave apologizes to all because he's a good guy like that. I don't know where the hell I was. I need a minute, thank you. Yeah, public service announcement. Yep. Let's see. Oh, right here. 9 people from law enforcement participated in the search from the district attorney's CPAC unit were Troopers Thomas Sullivan, Martin Conley, David Otte, O-T-T-E, Otte. That's how I'm going to say it, and I'm sticking to it. Richard Mahoney, Mary Ritchie, Thomas Joyce, and Laurie Bender. Bender. Haha, Bender, that's from The Breakfast Club. Sorry, that's not her, but I'm just saying. Bender. Daniel Ryan was there from the Somerville Police Department, and Robert Pino from the State Police Crime Laboratory. Eddie's room was searched, and a dagger and a bayonet were found in the file cabinet, but they knew that he had this shit from his papa that just passed away. Good Lord. Actually, I don't know if the papa, I take that back. I don't know if his papa had passed away, but his papa just took all this stuff down from the attic. An open black pocket knife was allegedly found lying on the floor of the room. All of these items belonged to Eddie's grandfather, Papa. Thank you, I just said that. Officers came into and went out of the rooms without any log being kept as to who was searching what room at what time and who did what for which cookie. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Sorry, there's that corruption again. Good Christ almighty. A photographer went into Eddie's room to determine if... Hold on. A photographer went into Eddie's room to photograph it. Because there was no log, it was impossible to determine if she went in before or after any officer searched. Hello? Compromised crime scene. Compromised crime scene. Hello, Just DK. How you doing? Compromised crime scene. I can't. Are you kidding me? The O'Brien's marital bedroom and other areas were also searched. Okay, Just DK, I am reading The Politics of Murder, but I am on chapter 14. So if you haven't seen the other chapters, go back and watch those. They're in my playlist called Politics of Murder. I've done all the chapters right up until this. Okay, so go back and watch the others so that you can hear the book in its entirety. I'm reading the whole book so that you can be up to date. This is about the Edward O'Brien case from back in the 90s when Janet Downing was murdered. I do not believe that Edward Downing... Yeah, don't skim. Don't skim. Hi, Dee Dee. How are you? Hi. Dee Dee, same thing to you. I'm reading The Politics of Murder. You know, you'll get a lashing. Don't be skimming the book. All of the book I have read right up until now. I'm in the middle of chapter 14. All the previous chapters have been read. They're in my playlist, The Politics of Murder. I've uploaded them all. Dee Dee's awesome. Dee Dee, but you don't have to buy the book if you want to listen to me. I've read it all so far up to chapter 14. I've read all of it live in my channel. So if you just want to put on earbuds and listen to me read it, it's up to you. I prefer to read. I understand. I like to read. I am the book. With my own little anecdotes, you know, from Massachusetts. I live here. My own little anecdotes. We'll proctor this and tully that. I literally. So if you want to hear it, just pop in your earbuds and listen. Every chapter thus far that I've read is uploaded. So it's there if you want to listen to it. It's in my playlist, The Politics of Murder. So far, right up until where I'm at right now, it's there. So feel free to just go listen to it. Aw, Dee Dee, I love you. You're so sweet. You're listening as you clean your kitchen. Well, don't just listen to this. There's so many coincidences within the law enforcement of Massachusetts. I don't even call it Massachusetts anymore. I call it Corruptachusetts. I have lived here 53 years. And it's funny, when you're young, you don't notice this stuff. You just don't, because especially Gen X, we were busy building forts and ramps for your bike. And you know, I was busy being a kid. But now, it has been so corrupt and disgusting. And as an adult and a parent, I'm reading this book thinking, if Eddie was my kid, oh man, I'm so mad right now. I'm so mad reading this book as a parent. If that were my daughter at 15 and they just put her away, you would see the angry mama bear. It would not be pretty. This is not okay. I'm like really pissed off. He definitely didn't do it, but we need to find out who did. We need to find out who did. I can't. I can't. I know, 30 years, totally heartbreaking. And rest in peace, Janet Downing. She was only 42. I've got 11 years on that poor woman. It's so sad. I traveled to the county working out of state for a while in my early career, lived in many different states. I always come back to Massachusetts. I miss it here. There is no place on earth like it. Yeah, I mean, I've lived here my whole life. I've traveled. I've been to the Cayman Islands. I've been to Italy. I've been to China. I've traveled, but this is home. I'm not thrilled with it. I'm here because my parents are still here. Once my parents cross, I don't know that I'm going to stay here. I can get Italian citizenship like that because of my father. And every ounce of me wants to move to Italy and live the rest of my life in Italy because I can. And it's beautiful. Yeah, I'm not thrilled staying here. I'm just not. Oh, you're there for the same reason. I got you. Yeah, but once my parents cross, my daughter and I, if she'll move with me, my daughter is my heart and soul. I've never been to Mass, but it seems like a beautiful state aside from the... Oh yeah, if you can turn a blind eye to the corruption, which you kind of can't, especially right now, you just can't. Western Mass is beautiful. My cousin Robin moved out to Western Mass because she loves it out there. But I love the ocean too much. I love the smell of the salty sea ocean air in the morning and the sound of the seagulls. If I'm going to live here, I need to hear that. If I can't hear that, then there's no point to be here. That's me. I need to hear the seagulls. I need to smell the ocean air. Otherwise, what's the point? Yeah, no, I know. You cannot turn a blind eye. It's impossible. It's impossible when everywhere you look, even in my own bedroom, corruption floats above you like a fart in a car. It's not okay. It's just gross. So anyways, so anyone tuning in right now, I'm in the midst of chapter, what did I say, 14? Chapter 14. So if you want to hear the book in its entirety, seriously, you can buy it if you want to. I got this on Amazon. It's by Margot Nash, The Politics of Murder. JFK told us about it, scared the living shit out of me. I love you, Randy, I love you, but holy Christ. As he was doing the live the other night, doing the knocking, is someone at your door? A dude walked by my window in an orange, they're redoing the sidewalks and on my street, and some dude in an orange jumpsuit. I'm like, orange jumpsuit? Like a jail jumpsuit? Hello. Jumped a friggin' mile. Jumped a mile. Listen, I'm brave, super brave. I'm single, married to myself. I do all my own shit on my own. But my house is right on the sidewalk. Right on the sidewalk. And they're redoing the sidewalk. So the dude was right by the window. Okay? I can jump at some things. I'm allowed to jump at some things. I'm still human, all right? Just saying. And I had two windows, one facing the street, one facing the side, which also the sidewalks right there. Okay, oh my God, winter storm warning, Sunday night? No, we're getting snow tonight. Dave, did you know we're getting snow tonight? Did you know winter storm warning just popped up? We're getting fucking snow tonight. I raise a glass. New England weather. Wait 5 minutes, it's gonna change. Thank you for thinking I'm a gem. You did know, but yet you didn't tell me? You knew we're getting snow and you didn't tell me? But yet you can come and admit that you're just skimming my book? The fuck? Dave, everybody. Dave, raise a glass to this bullshit. From henceforth, Dave is known as Beaver. Beaver Boy. Change your name, dude. You are Beaver Boy. And I just said that. live. It's going to be here for all to see forever. Cheers, you bet. Oh, I just aired his shit right out. Like, you remember Meatballs when they put like the fat pants, when they put the fat pants on the pole? Oh, I just put your fat pants on the fucking pole, dude, right at the top. Right at the top. Love Meatballs. One of the best movies of all time. I own it. I own so many DVDs, it's ridiculous. Because I'm not a fan of mainstream media. I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch movies. Oh, you know, Didi, you know. You know. Bill Murray. Goddamn genius. Yeah, that's a different movie, babe. That's a different movie. And that was his own stupidity. I wonder if my tongue will stick to the pole. Yes, asshole, it will. Go ahead, do it. Ha! It's stuck! It's stuck! Oh! I can't. I have that movie too. A Christmas Story. I have that one too. I have them all. I have them all. Because someday, yeah, I love them. One of my favorite movies of all time for Christmas, Die Hard. Anyone, right now, everybody listen. Anyone thinks that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie? The door you came in works to leave. Okay? Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I have all the Die Hards. If you think they're not a Christmas movie, you can leave the way you came in. Okay? I love the Die Hard movies. I still walk barefoot on the carpet and make fists with my toes. Okay. I have slippers, but I rarely wear them. They're just there for emergencies. Move it on. All right, stop. Stop. You are interrupting the book, dude. You're like a puppy that needs to constantly go out and take a piss and needs a treat and wants a back rub, and I can't. I'm trying to read a book, man. I'm just trying to read a book. Listen, take all this, whatever this is, put it in an email. Send me a nice long email. Whatever it is you need to say, put it. I gave you my email. You think I'm a lady? You have not gotten to know me. That's cute. That's cute. You think I'm a lady? I'm going to sell you a bridge next. Here we go. I don't even remember where the hell I was. I gotta find where I was. You just messed me all up. I don't know where the hell I was. Give me a second. I don't know. I don't know. All right, here. The O'Brien's marital bedroom and other areas were also searched. Now stop it. Okay? I love all of you. I love you better when you're listening. Put top lip, bottom lip. You know what James says. You know what JFK says. All right. Beaver. Beaver. Didi, I wasn't talking to you, love. You know that. Talking to the Beaver boy. Trooper Auty eventually went to the backyard of the residence to look through the trash. That's a job we don't want. He found a small red penknife wrapped in a paper towel. The penknife became the centerpiece of the prosecution's otherwise circumstantial case against Eddie. This knife was part of a set of 2 Eddie had retrieved from his grandfather's attic belongings. It had a 3-inch single-edged blade and a 4-inch decorative red carved handle. The matching knife had a green handle. Oh, it was a Christmas set. Red and green. I'm assuming it was a Christmas set. That's my input. Just I'm adding little fun things. The knife was found in Eddie's own trash can. Would anybody be stupid enough to throw a knife away in his own backyard trash can? If he wanted to get rid of the knife, wouldn't he have done so already? He'd known since early Monday morning that he was a suspect in the case. There was something wrong about one knife being left on the floor of his bedroom in plain sight, and another being disposed of in the trash behind his house, especially since no one yet knew of the hilt found on the stairs at the Downing home. Eddie didn't know that the police had found part of a knife at the murder scene. Only weeks later did it become known as that piece of metal was found on the third step of the Downing residence stairwell. I studied all the police reports and search warrant materials again and again. Something was missing. I didn't know what or why, but I knew the answer had to be in this file somewhere. I finally found the reason why this knife and the lucky trash can find were not right. The answer was buried in an addendum to a prior police report summarizing an interview with Walter Golden, the owner of Midnight Convenience Store. At 8:45 on the night of the search of Eddie's house, Walter Golden was asked to come into the police headquarters to be interviewed. Lieutenant Kelly and Sergeant Fahey of the Somerville Police interviewed him. He made and signed a statement about knives that Eddie had used at the store and a particular knife, a green penknife that Eddie had shown to another employee. The report was typed up and Golden signed it. It is dated July 25th, 1995. Fahey witnessed his signature. Fahey wrote a second one-paragraph report regarding Walter Golden. It was misfiled with conveniently misfiled? A Stop and Shop. It was misfiled with reports of the prior day because it was misdated July 24th, 1995. It stated, after interviewing Walter Golden with Lieutenant Kelly of the Somerville Police Department, reports filed by Lieutenant Kelly, myself and Trooper Joseph Dugan, Mass State Police, showed him a red-handled knife found in Ed O'Brien's room. Those words jumped off the page. Found in Ed O'Brien's room. In his room? The knife apparently had been found in Eddie's room and intentionally moved to the backyard trash can so that another member of the search team could discover it. Planting evidence. That's why they didn't want anyone watching them do their search. Oh, Massachusetts, you disgusting pack of asshats. When found in Eddie's bedroom with the sword, the dagger, and the black penknife, the red-handled knife was just part of his grandfather's collection. If found in Eddie's household trash, it became evidence of enormous importance. This kid spent his entire fucking life behind bars. Dave, how disgusted are you with this state, with our state? The Commonwealth of Massachusetts. As a parent, I want to vomit. I'm so angry because that could have been my daughter. It could have been my daughter. Anybody so much as lays a finger on my kid, I'll be the one going to jail for whatever it is I do to take care of her. Thank you. That's exactly how I feel right now, and I only have one sip of coffee left. All I'm going to say is, right? All I'm going to say is that knife that conveniently traveled from the bedroom to the backyard screams taillight pieces planted. Nothing changes in the state except the fucking date on the calendar. It makes me want to cry because that literally could be my girl. If someone does that to my kid, I swear to God. And I mean, I'm 53. I've lived my life. 3 solids in a bed. Sign me up. I don't care. I don't even eat much, so I don't even care if it's prison food. Whatever. Don't even care. Yep, they totally did. They totally did. She's absolutely innocent. And shame on all of them. And you know what? Karma. I always say this. What do I say? What do I say? You guys know what I say. Karma always collects her debts. Always. 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 Star Drive is in closing. Did you hear? No. What? Now say it, because I'm paused now. We're on chapter 15, so I can't lose my spot. I'm going to pause on chapter 15. Now tell me, Star Drive is in closing. What do you mean? Type the whole thing out. I don't skim, so type the whole thing out. What do you mean Star Drive is in closing? Oh, it's closing. Star Drive is closing? Isn't that the one that the Young Jerks, Mike, Money Making Mike, he always talks about Star Drive. He mentions them all the time in his lives. I met Mike. He's a lovely guy. Yeah. And he signed my coat. He was funny. He's like, I asked him to sign it like right here. It was like too close to my boob for him. He's like, he's so afraid. I'm like, just sign it. It's my body. I'm telling you to do it. He was so afraid. But he signed my dungaree coat. He was afraid to do it. I'm like, Mike, just do it. It's my boob. It's my body. So just do it. He was like, I'm just an Irish kid. I'm like, just, you're not a kid. You're an adult. I'm telling you to do it. It's all good. He was so afraid to do it. The dude signed my coat. Money Making Mike. I'm like, just sign the coat, dude. I don't remember what he signed it, but I have Mike's signature on my coat. Okay, Tommy and I, let me explain something to you, Dave. Tom DeRosier, and I have been friends for 35 years. Tom is my fish boy. That's why you can't be fish boy. Tom and I have been friends for 35 years. Tom knows me from way back in the day, which was a Wednesday. Tom knows all the stuff I did in my 20s, and he's never going to speak of them. Tommy, fish boy? Yeah. Tom knows all of it. Tom's going to keep his mouth shut if Tom knows what's good for him. No, you won't get him to crack. He won't do it. Tom goes way back with me. Tom and I have been friends since way back when AOL first came out and there was the Massachusetts chat room. Tom and I know everything. Not going to happen. Yeah. In fact, I have the live the day that Tom reacquainted himself with me on his channel. It's posted on my channel. I think it's called Fish Boy. It's the time that I popped into his live, and he's like, Amy lost 7-2. You wouldn't be from Beverly, would you? He like lost his marbles and he pulled me up on his live. He's like, no way, you guys don't even understand. This is Amy. She's like the real deal. She's live. She's awesome. She doesn't lie. She's honest. He lost his marbles. He's like, I've known her for years. Because we hadn't seen each other in a long time. So he flipped out. And I put that on mine because I'm like, it's such a classic. He's like, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? And I'm like, of course I know who you are. We just hadn't seen each other in a long time because I was living life. He was living life. I adopted my girl. It was, there was a lot happened in between your 20s and your 50s. A lot happens. But he's like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. No way it's you. You got to go check that out. And don't skim it. Don't skim it. To see his reaction when he realizes that I'm in his chat. My stepdad was the Conservation Commissioner in Whitman for 47 years. He coached town baseball. Tom knew my dad well. Awesome. Totally small world, yeah. Tommy is right in here. Tommy lives in my heart. Tommy and I are solid. I would jump in front of a train for Tommy. He knows it. He knows it. Go back and watch the Tommy one that is posted. For real. I love him. He's, well, you don't, if I already jumped in front of the train, what the hell are you doing it for? You don't need to have already just jumped in front of the damn train. Show off. Stay back and help him, because he's going to be sad because I just jumped in front of a train. He's going to need you. Duh. Look at you and twice on Sundays. All right. Well, show off. Your dick's bigger than mine. Okay, fine. Are we done? Are we done? Are we done? Okay. Chapter 15. You didn't write me that email yet. Go write your email. Go watch the thing with Tom. There we go. Go watch the Tom thing. Write me that email. I know. Love you too. Chapter 15. The knife hilt. Finding that piece of metal. The alleged hilt of Eddie's green penknife on Janet Downing's carpeted stairs the night of the murder was a coup for the prosecution. It was the single most incriminating piece of evidence that they had at the time. Every part of Eddie's own story, which he told before he knew about the Commonwealth's evidence, was consistent with the prosecution's circumstantial evidence. He did kneel down and touch Downing. He did turn her over. He did get her blood on his hands. He did close the front door. He did go down the cellar stairs. He did hit the cellar post. He did run through the clothes hanging on the line and out the cellar door, and he did get scratched up in the thickets behind the Downing home. Those prickers are a pain in the ass. Eddie has no idea how this metal hilt got on the Downing stairs. He didn't then, when he leaned that metal piece referred to the hilt of the knife. Oh, sorry, he didn't then, when he learned that the metal piece referred to the hilt of a knife. He doesn't now, 21 years later. He doesn't remember whether he even used the green penknife that Sunday morning to cut the straps on the newspapers that he put together at the midnight convenience store. He generally used whatever knife or box cutter was over by the newspapers. He has no memory of retrieving it from where Jack Arnold had placed it the night before, or putting the knife in his pocket or bringing it back home that day. He had the same shorts on from early Sunday morning until he gave his clothes to the police at 2:30 a.m. Monday. There was no evidence that the knife was or had been in his pocket when his clothes were taken as evidence. The kid's 15. The kid is 15. The metal piece, the hilt of a knife that seemed to conclusively tie Eddie to the crime, incredibly, was not forensically... I can't even believe I'm going to read this. This metal piece, the hilt of the knife that seemed to conclusively tie Eddie to the crime, incredibly, was not forensically tested by the district attorney's office until July 1997, 2 years after it was discovered at the scene. Are you fucking kidding me? We're just going to put a pin in this for 2 years. We got plenty of time. Just give it 2 years. Put it up there. Put it in a Stop and Shop bag. Throw it up there. Fuck it. We're just going to give it 2 years. This is why I took. Hi, Cheryl, my love. How are you? Cheryl, we're talking about the Karen Read case and all the bullshit that went on with the Karen Read case. The bullshit and shenanigans that went on there is very similar to the crap in this book. Massachusetts should be goddamn ashamed. Okay? It is a beautiful day. Apparently, Massachusetts, we're getting snow tonight. Somebody knew that snow was coming, but decided in his beaverish way to keep it to himself. Hold on a second. My hand hurts. Oh my God, I feel so much better. Okay, here we go. Back to the book. The metal piece, or item 21, as it was identified in the various forensic laboratory documents, was initially sent for analysis to the State Police Crime Lab in Sudbury on July 24th, 1995. You like that, did you? In January 1996, the hilt, along with 17 other pieces of evidence, was sent to the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia. Everything was returned to the State Police Crime Lab 6 months later without being tested. The fuck did they do with it for 6 months? Did Proctor work in Quantico? Did he want to hold on to shit for 6 months and just look at it? I need more info. I need to know more. The following September, the metal piece was sent to Cellmark Diagnostics in Germantown, Maryland, because the Mass Lab wasn't certified to do DNA testing at that time. In November 1996, polymerase chain reaction, PCR, I'm just going to say PCR testing was performed on it. PCR reaction is a technique used to amplify trace amounts of DNA. No trace of Eddie's DNA was found during the PCR test. Further DNA testing on this item was discontinued after the initial test at Riley's request. In November 1996, Riley was awaiting the Supreme Judicial Court's ruling on his appeal of the first transfer hearing. He certainly didn't want the defense getting its hands on any evidence that potentially excluded Eddie from DNA on the alleged murder weapon. In June 1997, with Eddie's trial now pending for September, Riley ordered the DNA testing on the hilt to be completed. The chemist's report, dated July 25th, 1997, excluded Eddie O'Brien as the primary source of DNA on that hilt. This is why I have Tylenol first. I may need another cup of coffee, and I shouldn't, but I'm totally going to do it. I can't. The primary source of the DNA on the hilt was a female. Janet Downing could not be excluded as the primary source of the DNA. No conclusion could be reached as to the secondary source of the DNA. The secondary source was male. Yes, that's what I say all the time, Corruptachusetts. The secondary source was male. Riley would have known this would be the result when he halted further testing a year earlier. Now, just weeks until trial, it was too late for the defense to do independent DNA testing to determine whose DNA was on the hilt, because back then it took forever to get DNA results. I never abuse books. I don't, but I want to chuck this book across the room and like smash it into the wall. I'm not going to. I don't abuse books, but that's how I'm feeling. Riley didn't request further testing of the DNA recovered from the hilt, or compare it with any other DNA samples besides Eddie O'Brien. The lab had samples from Paul Downing Sr., Paul Downing Jr., Ryan Downing, and Artie Ortiz, but Give me a second. The lab had samples from Paul Downing Sr., Paul Downing Jr., Ryan Downing, and Artie Ortiz, but none were compared. You heard me. None were compared. The DNA was not run through the national database to see if a match could be found. Unknown crime scene DNA is usually run through CODIS, the FBI's online combined DNA index system, to determine whether the contributor was a suspect that the police had never considered or didn't even know about. This did not occur. And in what was becoming a pattern of serious omissions and poor decisions, Massachusetts, Eddie's lawyer failed to retain a DNA expert or a lab to do independent testing on any of the items found at the crime scene. The state lab reserved a portion of each sample of all the evidence taken for defense counsel to do his own testing. Despite 2 years of telling Eddie that he was getting the best forensic people on the case, Michael Baden, medical coroner from TV forensic shows, to challenge the wounds described at the autopsy, Barry Scheck, leading DNA expert and founder of the Innocence Project, and the best labs to do DNA analysis, Bob George, never had anything tested independently. You son of a mother. These words are not in the book. I am ad-libbing. Eddie needed a DNA specialist to explain to the jury that he could not have used the knife with the broken hilt to stab Downing and cut himself on the blade as the hilt gave way, which was the DA's theory of the murder weapon, without leaving DNA behind. Without expert testimony, all the jury heard was, "This is part of the murder weapon. It belonged to Eddie O'Brien. His DNA isn't on it because it might have gotten contaminated somehow, but it was definitely Eddie's knife." No, I'm not answering that, Dave, because if you actually went back and listened like I told you to, you would know. I'm not answering that. This is what comes from skimming. There was also no defense expert to question whether a blade 3 inches long could inflict wounds that severed a rib and penetrated a lung into the back cavity. As Dr. Atkins testified at the transfer hearings, the coroner testified that the penknife could have inflicted Downing's wounds, but he never measured the matching red penknife against the actual wounds. By the time the police seized the red penknife from Eddie's room and apparently moved it to the trash can, Downing's remains were at the funeral home. Atkins' expert opinion, which he shared with the jury, was that the 3-inch penknife could have been the murder weapon. Atkins' opinion was an educated guess, not a scientifically based conclusion. At least some of those wounds measured to a depth of over 4 inches. That is inconsistent with a 3-inch blade. After the doctor said it could have been the weapon, it's unlikely the jury even realized this discrepancy. Translation, the jury was a bunch of dumbasses. The actual green penknife was never found. Oh God, here come the boomers. Maybe they're going to sing a rousing round of Woody Woodpecker this time. Oh my God. It doesn't get better. It just doesn't. Okay. The actual green penknife was never found. The prosecution's theory that the green penknife was the murder weapon was never challenged by the defense. What was the defense doing? Other than, I'm sorry, nothing? Sitting on their hands? Sitting on their hands. Counting the minutes till it was time to go home? Doing nothing. This single piece of evidence, the alleged hilt of the missing green penknife, provided the defense with a multitude of ways to challenge both the theory that the penknife was the murder weapon and that Eddie was the perpetrator of this senseless, brutal crime. The evidence did not support the DA's theory that he cut himself on the blade of the penknife while stabbing Downing. If it were true, his blood and DNA would have been all over the hilt. In addition, the knife had a second hilt secured by a second pin, which presumably remained on the penknife. That hilt would certainly have prevented Eddie's hand from slipping down onto the blade. Finally, only a double-edged knife could have inflicted the wounds seen on Eddie's hand, not a single-edged knife like the green penknife. And there's a photo. There's a photo. I'm going to share the photo. Forgive me, I'm trying to hold this as still as I can. You can't make this shit up. You just can't. All right, chapter 16. I'm gonna pause here because I can't. I just can't. I can't. I'm gonna upload this. I'm gonna go get myself some more coffee, maybe something to eat. I haven't eaten. Maybe I'm just gonna get a banana, some more coffee, and then I will come back with some more chapters. Holy shnikes. Tommy boy. I will be back. Love to you all.